Chapter 7. Christina stayed awake to jot some notes for the next day's lecture. She felt Darkmoor's desire, but her intuition warned against such a level of involvement. She had a deep and abiding commitment to her mission, expressing the inner voice, the soundless narration. In a word, freedom awareness of a being in the first place now for those knowing of it with ears to hear. She now wondered if Dark was trying to warn her or she should warn him about Warren and his scheme to use them in his game of intelligence and liberation. Were they both the same ancient order existing outside movements of time, mere vocal symbols, in an allegorical myth like those carved into temple walls, inscribed on scrolls of papyrus, passed on through unbroken oral tradition? Meeting the darkness stirred a blacked-up awareness appearing of it out in her eyes, ion of evil. A will of we all a wheel, turning, yearning, burning of that inward knowledge of a being seen still in the first place. It took living the street life hard to integrate visions, E.T. encounters, mystic dreams, intense years of fear and tearful loss to feel it. Feel the love supreme shining in above of a being now turning a denial of it into knowing devastating sorrow. Thus she now had bore witness to an intellectual wasteland, laying high or low while still sheltered in the ivory tower estate. She now wondered, is gaining intellectual objective understanding important when real spiritual realization came from overstanding above any understanding of it below? Is that clarity of mind almost a mistake, a make-believe point of view, a pulling up short of a being seen merely appearing out of it, by now still a knowing of a subtle denial of it? Is this clarity of mind so hard to obtain, in fact, enemy of final liberation, confounding any further learning or yearning to pay attention? Still as in toward a being's turning, churning, burning now around a knowing out of it, at attention yet now as thoughts of now standing at it. It a being still in the first place as anybody, appearing of it as thoughts out of it. It's still now supernaturally superimposed as any knowing out in toward thoughts of it appearing, literally, y'all, a God. Essay to be art of science. A whole now knowing out of it as cosmic memory. ABC's inward means meaning full of denial, ask knowing of it anybody of a being seen still in the first place. Paruma. Indivisible invisibility in the word freedom now, with a supernatural black around intent of appearing out of it a gain. A gain of it out and about by sheer power, personic, whole power out in her eyes as a will wave eye, radiating invisibility, still indivisible as cosmic microwave black around. That keen, overstanding free status state, the eye, stare, or why, eye, appearing it, gazing it now as X, posing, appearing of it as X, on one, ona. Uno, you know, una, knowing, objectified or merely duplicated as now knowing, ask knowing out of it as zany thoughts of it, literally, y'all. Appearing of it out in word, appearing of it as a Y, as X, y'all, as cosmic memory potential. Microwave black around, echoing, asking of it why us cosmically, you all, me or you. In her eyes, the journey started with the inner confidence that she now could bring forth from the impenetrable, deepest mists of time, that inward connection of it. Inward, that our eye awakening of a desire from above, of a being seen and reaching black untouched in a word freedom, yet a why eye merely appearing, gazing it, our eye of a being seen in the first place of what the Egyptians called Zep Tepi. Why now inform eyes any time as existing. Every girl remembers that, she now thought. At least one memorable version of it. Yet, though that be but one memory in time, Zep Tepi points to a being seen still in the beginning. Still it never eye passes, even that our eyes all out in her eye, appearing and gazing it. A being seen appearing it, gazing it out in toward it, twisting into presence and appearing to pairing moment by moment, millions upon zillions of passing versions of it. Untouched passing versions of it, mirrored in word potential that she now pondered. Christina went into it with her eye on a mission, wide-eyed and open-minded. After facing entrenched academic and gender bias or fear of what could only be called extreme hostility, extreme ignorance of it, she now had backed into all the validation she needed, still in a word freedom awareness of a why-eye of a being seen merely appearing, gazing it out in her eyes, zapping, seen in him seen in her eye, her him it, a why of being seen of that point of view of a why in her eye, angst searching skulls and codices and hieroglyphic and hieratic phonographic writing on papyri, tombs and temple walls, a being seen of that, Ak et Aten, a first place duplicated often of 10, a binary radiating it, a perceived feeling of that, a feeling of that supernatural, supersonic, radiant, our radiance of you, of I, of that seer insight of a being seeing it, of any eight and Y body, of a being of that feeling alone, a still, indivisible invisibility in the first place. Shaking all over with laughter and pure glee, she got it. She got it now, the vision of the ancient sacred order, yet a being seen still in the first place. Out of it, infused in the sound wave ray of it, inform eyes, a meaning, full of the letters themselves, the ABCs of it, out in word as that sound wave ray, as black body, never confused without inward information of it, never confused with a being seen still in the first place. Ha ha! Yet indivisible invisibility of a being seen, merely appearing it, gazing it. Page 138. A gazing it in toward concept, syntax, or semantics of language phonographically recorded, y'all, now knowing ABCs in words as a while still a being seen of it, a beaming of it as any word appearing at the appearance of it, a mirrored appearance of it with a being seen as any mere supernatural thoughts of it out in her eyes as a Eve ray body, appearing of it in a wave patterns. A bingo bongo, baby. Literally, y'all. Let her keep hitting those keys. Those ask I, she now. A reflected of it, a being seen. Are y'all ality as king of it, why out in her eyes as all eyes zinging it. Are y'all realizing it. Then, traveling to the Middle East and the Indian subcontinent, Margot Christina cast a breast upon the great eastern star of ancient wisdom. She now anticipated the metaphorical psychic thrashing and trashing of the notions, coded in the name of the little Christ, Christina, now with ovaries and womb, high priestess, empress of the high noon, everybody, virgin mother, as any ma sound waves of Eve. A waves out in her eyes, eye on it. Now a black wave, everybody. An ocean of emotion of waves. Electromagnetic, are y'all, function of function. A why I now turn in toward a twisting of it, into a knowing denial of it as cause microwave blackness. Blackness of the Christ, Jesus, a weight of a waiting on it. Oh, the weight of L, love, supreme bliss of a Christ, of a Christ as Krishna, the blue-black sacredness body of a being seen appearing out of it in a Y-I-S microwave of it. A being seen echoing of a black around, captivated at attention in words as a Y-L. A Y-L. A Y-L in space and time, now the web of deceit of matrix. A tricky waves function of funny action. A mass bag of tricks. A majesty. A just why of a cunning supercraft of sheer folly. A supernatural duplicity of a Y as X. The geometry of 3D. Da-dee-doop. Da-dee-doop. Deadly. Duplicating duplicity with a quantum gravity. The weight of Jesus' death. The waiting. Denial of Ivre now of knowing out of it. The DNA of Denu. Uni mind as alternative man. Or why a being seen now turning a black around, asking of it, why echoing any thinking of a knowing out of it in word. Echoing a duplicity of it as any measly, chintzy, meager thinking of it. As besciencing whole a pseudo dominance of the right brain of the left, overthinking of it in toward information. A la K, the queen mode. Still a being seeing a visual predominance primarily out in her eyes, thinking of a hearing brain, supersonically informing it. The old yet Eve, new brain. Perpetually, y'all, Eve, were I of a virgin mother, empress to God, say. Go-dee. Go-dee. A bodhi. A booty. A Buddha. Now homeostasis. A ripening of the fruits of thrashing and gnashing of teeth. Of it as any thoughts of it dying and reborn as zillions. The journey east nearly devoured Christina, leaving just enough blood and bone for Jerusalem. Why? Why, she now thought, this stirring for the dark man? A burning of expectations flashed in her eye. Of everybody, a virgin mother, but dark more hardly, immaculate. Still with that testosterone stink, she now smiled with a heart beating faster till drawing a quick breath. She now could not help letting attention drift down to her second chakra. A Swadhisthana, as exciting expectations of it. In her eyes a smile. A Swati, a self-perception of it. A self-desire was starting a slow burn. Using breath and the contraction of abdominal muscles, she now forced the psi whole energy back up through a heart into a brain. The bus broke down crossing Afghanistan. She had hitched a ride with a slightly mad Pentecostal priest who tried over 1,000 tortuous miles to turn her head around to his way of Christianity. But by the time they reached the Kashmir border, in her eyes, Zane, a little Christos, completely swallowed his. Christ is a man now, she thought, found in her eyes of everybody as causally, y'all, a causal, still virgin awareness, consciousness, any word freedom, untouched, indivisible, invisibility of anybody, any bodhi, anybody, a now, why body of a deeper roots, zazai of wisdom, a word freedom, we, of we all in a why dialectic debate, a debate in raging engagement of it, awareness of a why merely appearing it, a gazing it, or appearing of it literally all information moment by momentum, a zany information of it no matter how well stated yet completely underrated, as king of it why now any acts knowing appearing of it out information of a starved, stunted, thin king of it. A while. Once again, she now found that ancient one and asked, do you believe in aliens and Aryans? Why, honey, in that I am an alien Aryan, the ancient one had replied without a trace of irony. Christina had doubted there were any legitimate teachers left alive in this prehistoric Indo-Aryan Brahmavidya oral tradition. But let faith take her eye through Persia and Afghanistan to India and Mother Ganga, the Ganges River, and at her headwaters Rishikesh. Reaching there, wasted from dysentery and Pentecostalian fever, she collapsed before a woven hut of straw. Awakening, she now looked into the glowing eyes of a dark holy man in a scarlet robe. For a few moments they didn't speak. Where am I? Christina had asked. Now that I am awake to ask the question, he had replied with a giggle. Her whole quest resolved in his statement. She now realized it once more. As yet now today she might venture that I am still a being, seeing y'all in the first place. The awareness of it, completely y'all that I am, can't every eyes on it. Out in her eye or their eye. Out in her eye, our eye. Then the grand journey to the east lay in tatters at her feet. A mere mockery of obsession with all things ancient. A modern office in Palo Alto might have sufficed. In that, I am thinking you got to laugh, along with the tears she now mused. Everything clicked, then it clacked. The dysentery had produced a parasite that affected her mind, which fragmented with all the languages learned. Then too quickly, assimilating Sri Shiv Shankaraji's wielding the Sanskrit Pramana. This ancient oral device removed all traces of ego, burned the dross in the fire of Brahmagyanam. Acknowledgement of a being still in the first place, transmitted with a razor-sharp logic, scintillating clarity, not about it. It, a being seen appearing, gazing it out now, ask, knowing of it still. Then, where are you? Invisibility of a dust-mote in galactic awareness out in her eyes on a journey of it, shattered into a black mirror, sees that as our eye afflecting, fracting to why now, daylight, into a mosaic with hundreds of thousands. Page 140. Scarlet-robed sadhus chanting through phases of sun and moon, riding thick chillum of clouds of hashish, freed by the decay, the putrefaction, the corrosion, eating away at tradition or any institution of it. Information a while. The ancient land inoculated modernity with its myriad spiral virus parasites and its staff of worms. Still, Jerusalem waited to call her eyes to a fate for some of her flesh, meat, and bones. Kalima Inja would continue in her eye of everybody, devouring years after leaving it out in her island. The cell phone rang, ruining the beginnings of an erotic dream that included Christina and Sue Lee. Coroner spoke, making Moore grind his teeth. See, you got checked in. I can imagine the setup. You asleep on the covers, bathroom light on, and no woman for the darkness. The nickname came from high school. He had stupidly left a city bus after an angry argument with Coroner, only walking a few blocks before it hit him. He, a flat-foot white boy in Blackstone Ranger territory on Chicago's south side, where even black cops don't go. Before Coroner had showed back up with a ride, he had earned the razor scar carried over one eyebrow. That night I gave you the name, remember? I knew, darkness. I knew you were as crazy as me, said Coroner. I remember. There I was, it's dark, and then I'm white. I see this cat across the street standing on the corner. He's full-on crushed velvet overcoat, fur collar, heavy jewelry, black as that south side hood could possibly make it, and darkest Africa could not beat. And what does my wise brother do? Coroner's voice betrayed his sarcasm. What else could a lone, short, blonde punk in hard ghetto hell out of here land do? I kissed him. Can still smell his cologne. Found out later it was French. And with great big lips he kissed you back, Coroner asked, not stifling a laugh. I kissed him on the cheek. He sliced me quick with a straight razor. You pulled up in that caddy and we got the hay out of there. Moore detected the shift in his speech patterns. He tasted that metallic flavor of psychedelia. Tie my tail to a rocket, he thought. Too many drugs, brother, he mumbled as the glue of his personal ignorant world started dissolving. Where are you, anyway? I'm on a schooner east of the Falarones, Coroner replied. I'm looking at starlit ocean, rippling under a half moon, baby cakes. But then you have a wonderful cruise there your own self. Coroner was gone. Moore looked at the other gold foil and the purple haze emanating in his periphery. He realized Coroner or someone had dosed him. He peeled the other chocolate and slipped it on his tongue. Much too late for common sense anyway, he thought. He recalled the flaming helix of eyes pouring out of the truncated pyramid. He imagined the precision of shaped and surface stones, veined with nearly invisible lines of mortar. The eye began as a point of view. A seer Seeing of a being, seeing now, ask, no, knowing in word, a projection of it. R-A-I, appearing it out in appearing information of one living, flame shifting into a churning double helix of roiling balls of eyes, zapping, eye and pyramid revelation of a being, seeing still in the first place at attention for those with eyes to see, merely appearing, a gazing it. In the blink of one of those eyes, Moore found himself heading for the parking garage. He handed the valet a ticket, and a green SUV appeared. Your car, sir. Is that what I came in on? Well, sir, that wasn't my shift, but have a pleasant evening. He drove to the Marin Headlands and a high-gabled New England colonial mansion, buffeted by headwinds till it appeared slightly out of plumb. There was no gate or guards. The house looked deserted, along with the parking lot. Moore passed on the way in. He drew his leather jacket tight as he walked the empty house. He made a fire in an open outdoor brick fireplace, brewing tea in an iron kettle on the hob. By the time he had the mug to his lips, he looked to see vehicles arriving. A tall black man with chevron stripes on his arms and a red beret joined him by the fire. What are you doing here? The sergeant asked around large square teeth. I'm officially listed as a hand painter, but I don't paint hands. Oh, painted a few names on doors before I was released from any for the government. You guys CIA? Ain't no CIA, he growled as he backed away. Moore hunkered over his tea mug as the parking lot filled with all manner of wheel and tracked vehicles. Personnel swarmed in various uniforms. Officers parked close to the house, giving him only the lightest of recognition. A woman in a blue jumpsuit tapped him on the shoulder. Take these tickets. Tickets to a play, actually 3 tickets. 2 to one play and a third to something else, she offered with a smile as she walked on to the fireplace. Nice butt, he muttered under his breath. The house expanded to include a 3-story atrium surrounded by concentric rings of offices and apartments bristling with activity. He flashed on one pumped-up, muscled hulk, wearing a black beret with white piping and gold braids on his collars. Moore read, Israeli Sky Commando, stitched in red in the blue patch of his massive sleeve. He went out to the front to find a bivouac of several hundred troops, with lines of tents. He wanted to find his ride and get the track down the road, but considering the bewilderment of vehicles, finding the SUV would be impossible. He pushed aside the flap of a tent and entered. Women in low-cut blouses served the men food and titillation. Need direction? Asked a trooper in battle fatigues, combat boots, and white t-shirt. Oh, the saints be with you, brethren. I'm just a messenger. Page 142. We haven't had a man in a while, and you're pretty enough to fuck. The troopers smirked at each other as they toyed with the only civilian in town. The women kept serving. Moore ran. The troopers grabbed long coats to cover their insignia as they chased him. He chewed the something else ticket as he ran. He flew several feet above the ground, sailing through a windbreak of poplars till he touched back down. The troopers were still behind him. He took flight again, landing in a closed room, flapping against the walls like a helpless bird banging into shut windows. You may as well sit down, A man in khaki trousers and zippered jacket motioned to a desk in the room. Shelves held stacks of books and files. He recognized a being. To his astonishment, Moore found himself pulling down shelves, kicking over boxes, releasing swirls of paper. In innocent fun still, a being gave him a stern uncle, stopping further vandalism with a look. We accessed you through the chocolate. Better than sending you permanently over to the other side, he offered. Come over for your assessment. I'm in non-programmable mode. Everyone has a program, and that is part of larger patterns. We represent the joining of nations in the new order, a process of 150 years culminating shortly. I'm more a fan of the new chaos. One must subtly tend chaos like a control burn. Why am I burning for her? We want you to mate. Moore opened his eyes to sunlight breaking through the hotel curtains. It was a dream, but real enough. A low buzz came from the cell phone. You, Moore? I need that disc. Don't move, I'll be there in 5 minutes. The caller finished with a click. He frowned at the phone's tiny presence. The voice had not been Corner's. As his friend had said, there's always somebody looking for you. Just don't know if they want to pay you or flay you. Corner's wisdom had sounded like bullshit to him until 1 minute ago. The KPIX local TV news had the story of Kyle Larson all over the screen, painted with lurid intimations of drugs and sex and murder. The disc felt hot when it settled inside his boot. He slipped on his leather jacket, grabbed Corner's camera, and headed out. Flower vendors were opening their kiosks on Powell as he hit the street. Moore wandered Union Square to see if anyone was following, but saw only pigeons, old men bleaching in the morning sun, and au pairs pushing baby strollers. He was on a high from having the disc everyone wanted. He walked down the boulevard and found an empty booth at the O'Farrell Cafe. I'll be right with you, a woman offered. She paced the length of the counter, refilling cups. What'll it be? Eggs over easy, home fries, and sourdough toast. Is there a washroom here? At the back, she pointed to the doors at the rear. Moore washed his hands in the sink as 2 skate punks joined him. Hey, bitch! We want the camera! We saw you fucking with it out on the street. It's not mine, actually. Belongs to a friend. The skaters had him pinned to the stall when the door crashed in. A middle-aged man in a gray suit held his snub nose. 38 lowered at his side. He crashed the pistols on the head of one assailant, twisting the other's arms into a pair of handcuffs. Lieutenant Casper Richards at your service. I'll be back in a moment. He dragged the punks to his unmarked squad car in front of the cafe as Moore headed back to his breakfast, the adrenaline giving him an appetite. Richards slid into the seat across from him. Mind if I get a coffee? I'd be happy to spring for the whole dang pot, Moore replied as he blinked to see if he was still breathing. Thanks. Nice joint here. A couple years ago, a waitress got on the cook's case about some burnt eggs. They get yelling at each other. Next thing, he pulls a piece and shoots her next to the pies. Did he kill her? No, but ruined a good lemon meringue. Richard sipped at his coffee. You're in a shitload of trouble, friend. How's that? I got the sheet on you this morning from the federal level. You're wanted for questioning in regards to the theft of a disc containing state secrets. Somebody's doing a hell of a PR job on you, calling you the darkness. Sounds like instant terrorist to me. How'd you catch up with me? A concerned anonymous party gave me your room number at the St. Francis. I handle the delicate stuff. Ever since Larson went missing, the police department has been jumpy. She stole a bucket of information from a highly classified computer base, Homeland Security, and oh, I'm not a threat. I got a strong feeling you have the disk or know where it is. You're being way too casual. Say I'm holding the disk. What do you suggest? Stay away from official channels, Richard said, glancing about. I'm telling you this unofficially on account of the orders stink. There's money and influence behind this, and I want to know whose. You help me, I'll help you. Should be easy with that cool edge you're playing. Go. Page 144. When I lived up north, no one cared if I lived or died. Right now, I've never felt more vital. That may not last. Never does. Your prisoners there are getting nervous. The skate punks banged at the windows of Richard's car to get his attention. He waved his coffee cup. Fuck them, they're not worth the paperwork. I want you safe until I figure out what's going down. I have a friend who might help, Coroner replied and pulled Quisanda's card from his pocket. She's on Filbert near Larkin. I'll call her on my cell. Dumb move, Richard replied, grabbing the phone and grinding it under his shoe. My nephew can trace those bastards, and he's still in diapers. Let me cut the idiots loose and drop you. Stay the fuck away from any phone. Richards drove him to the Filbert Street address as promised. Moore hit the button on the intercom outside the building for the iron grate to buzz open. No one answered. He slid into a crouch on the stairs and dropped his head. If only Quisanda would come home. He needed a home. After a while, a friendly hand shook him out of his funk. Quisanda gave him a warm smile and unlocked the door. Shalana will be glad to see her favorite artist when she comes in from school. You should have called. The phone got crunched by a cop who kept me from getting crunched. That doesn't sound good. Are you associating with criminals? Apparently the wrong ones. I don't want to bring you trouble. Come in and see my world. Moore followed her up the steep staircase to the flat, resisting the urge to take her in his arms on the landing and feel her against his chest. They entered her apartment, a world of carved hardwoods, covered stretched skins decorated with painted animals, thundering a savanna dotted with acacia trees and spiny shrubs. Daylight played across batiks and masks from an African home he assumed to be Quisanda's native Sudan. Deep green potted palms offset the earth colors in the room. My ex-husband, Charles, was in the import-export business, mostly in Africa, but also in the Middle East. Incredible. Shalana must get a kick living in another continent here in the city. I had a teacher at the Art Institute who believed modern art was really a return to the primeval. Surrealists and Picasso had a great interest in African masks. Seeing this sacred art makes me believe all art is ultimately an expression of the collective mind. You know, you're really full of shit. I know, but it's good shit. I hope so, for your sake. This is my idealized Africa, not the land I came from, battered with drought, disease, and constant war. Here in my Africa is safe and peaceful. Moore followed her through the dining room into the kitchen. The portrait he'd drawn earlier was pinned on the far wall over a walnut hutch topped with relics of carved bone and pounded brass. A framed photograph in grainy black and white showed a child staring out from the crook of a bony arm. Quisanna busied herself with running beans through a grinder and measuring spoons into a French press. In 4 minutes, we'll have our coffee. That's enough time for the truth, he replied. If you want, we can drop the serendipitous street connection. She fumbled in the cabinet for cups and saucers. I'm sorry to be your finder. McCracken hired me to bring you in. Who the hell is McCracken? What about Corner? Let me give you more of the picture. From the moment I found that purse on the Golden Gate Bridge, I've been involved, but only getting pieces. Knowing Corner, he's playing two sides against his middle. There's no trust there. He is on both sides. And there's you and your daughter. Let me tell you some of my story. I met my husband Charles in Khartoum, where I traced refugees from Chad, Eritrea, and Uganda to reunite them with their families. I had a talent for finding people, even if they were corpses. Sudan was in constant civil war, and my work flourished until I ran out of tears. Let someone else tell the mothers their sons and daughters have died. Sorrow has its limits. Still, my mission is a global revolution focused on spiritual energy healing rather than the IATRA genocide, disease induction through pharmaceutical poisonings. Africa, as well as the Americas, becoming increasingly involved with this program. Charles needed someone to translate Arabic for his business, and we became lovers on the promise he would take me out of the Sudan. He moved us here and got involved with treasure hunting for McCracken. Statues from the Middle East, anything that Johnstone Warren and Messing Technologies wanted, McCracken wanted. The last was a stone man with wings from Iraq. Charles went missing with $500,000. Now I'm paying off McCracken. He must have been the man on the phone Corner gave me. I had a call from someone this morning who said I had to retrieve a disc or he'd have my balls in a vice. McCracken has had a fixation on Warren for years, and he believes he mastered some crucial problem as engineering proteins, McCracken wants the research to engineer synthetic life forms. What more do you need? Kyle Larson did the theft, and I'm not sure how discriminating she was in what she downloaded. So, guess what I'm asking? Are you my savior or temptress? I'm a finder. As far as I know, McCracken has no interest with you personally. You can talk to him when he comes for the disc later this evening. Moore felt the burn from the disc hidden between his boot and sock. I'll pass it along, only under the condition that you make a copy before you giving this to him. This disc, only McCracken and Warren have the computers to run it. I don't even know how to turn the damn things on. Moore replied as he handed the disc to Cassandra. Rest until he arrives. What about Charlotte? She's staying overnight with a friend from school. He dozed on the sofa until the door buzzer woke him, and he heard Cassandra's footsteps. Night had settled, and the living room was in shadow save for the light from a single lamp table. Our situation has changed. I don't recognize these guys, these jokers. Let's get gone. You have the disc? He asked, rubbing his eyes. I have it. What's it take to the roof? The front door burst open as two men stormed the apartment. Cassandra dashed with Moore through a back door leading up to the roof. Outside, fog blurred streetlights and gusts coming off the ocean. You heard a cat shriek and glass shatter inside, followed by curses. They leaped on the neighboring building's roof and ran down a rickety wood staircase. Cassandra took the stairs two at a time, and Moore lumbered behind. They're on the roof. Call Letty and tell him to watch the street. There they go. I just saw them. Cassandra vaulted the railing on the last run of stairs. Moore hit heavy, but managed not to lose his balance. He saw her leap over a fence 20 yards ahead. A pursuer's feet pounded after him as he tried to close the distance. He attempted a leap, but a man pounced on his back, and the world lost its light. When he gained consciousness, he found himself zip-cuffed in the rear of a black sedan. A plexiglass shield sealed him from the two men in the front seat. Moore laughed. He was free, even captive in the hands of his enemy. The disc away with the Sudanese, the driver steered the sedan through the night streets. He made a couple lefts and a quick right before he pulled into an underground garage. Moore saw the Mark IV bear down on the sedan, high beams blinding the men in the front seat. He braced his knees against the back seat and waited. Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes, your 20th nervous breakdown. The Mark IV crashed with enough force to blow the airbags into the men in the front. Next thing he knew, Corner pulled him from the back seat, cutting free the plastic cuffs. Glad to see me? Corner grunted, firing a couple rounds into the front tires. If not now, when? Moore answered as he shook glass fragments from his hair. Corner helped him to the Mark IV, slipped behind the wheel, and spun out of the garage. Moore looked back to see the man just struggling free from the airbags before they got gone. How come your airbags didn't inflate? He asked Corner. Took them out. Can't be wheeling around with a death wish, only to have dickless safety devices fuck up the thrill, Corner replied with a tight smile. They were on the Embarcadero, the numbers of the piers decreasing, then increasing. Corner caught most of the streetlights. Those he missed, he ran. Do you believe in synchronicity? Moore asked as the street flashed by like fortuitous accidents. Only the ones I cause. The disc, son. Corner gave him the condescending uncle routine. I don't have it, or know where it is, or what this is all about. I'm only the painter. Take me to her, I will paint her. I keep falling from one woman to another. Okay, this is how the story goes. Johnstone Warren has billions through his company, Messing Technology. He's gone off his nut from old age and cancer with one last big ugly planned. You figure in on account of he bought a painting from that show years ago. He wants you to connect with Christina to make a painting, some Earth Mother image. She knows the signs and arcane bullshit, but she'd be damned to do it for him. My guess is he thinks this image can stop his dying. In the meantime, he plowed a bunch of money into research, nanotechnology, and fucking with proteomics or whatever the fuck that is. Something to do with the study of the structures and functions of proteins, though what the hell for is beyond my head. I figure he's hedging his bets using any resource to put life back into his stinking corpse. Coroner turned up Powell from Pier 43, grinding gears for the steep hill. He fumbled from his jacket for the flask, damning its emptiness. Seems to be running on empty. Checked the glove compartment. Moore found a sealed pint of Cuervo, spun off the plastic cap, and passed the bottle. Page 148. The city seemed lurid and detached to him, its mystery reduced to thieves and robber barons fighting for market share, its romance sold into prostitution till people moved without caring or sharing. Only the likes of Warren and McCracken counted the limitless wealth without seeing the bodies left in the wake. Moore saw his saint, his city skinned and bloody. Much better. Warren is weird enough, then here comes McCracken. He has Kiowa Larson planted in Messing Technologies, using her to steal Warren's research, so his portal will have all the cookies when it comes to this protein business. She has ideas of her own and not very good ones. Larson downloads the stuff from McCracken and then tells him the price for the disc has gone 7 figures. If he doesn't come across, she'll tell the press. Blah, 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 blah. He hires her, and goodbye to any fat government contracts. This is where I came in. Stumbled in like a juice head on a 3-day bender. McCracken is tossing around buckets of cash to find Kiowa's disc, and you pick it up. Walking across the bridge, that, my dear brother, will require some explanation on your part. The truth is, that poor woman took her own life, Coroner added with an expression of sadness. I chased her down and tried to save her. I knew she was distraught, getting in over her head with this dirty espionage business. She slipped out of my hands when I tried to stop her from jumping. From what I saw in the news, she'd been a bad girl in the party world, Moore said, while wondering why he should be reassuring a killer. Warren is accelerating his design because of McCracken's shenanigans. He knows about the disc, and he knows how desperate McCracken is. He'll do about anything to get the damn thing, but mostly Warren doesn't want any flies in the ointment. Who dosed me in the hotel? McCracken, I figure. You're an easy man to follow. He had the room tossed, and when the disc didn't come up, he dropped the chocolate on the pillow laced with Lord knows what psychotropic drug. For you, it's about the money. Hey, as long as I have my Colt and can see down the runway for a takeoff, I'm good to go. In the middle of this firefight, Christina is close to finishing her translation of the Copper Scroll with the location of the treasure. Warren says he knows where the booty is, and his version sits on the doodad. Wouldn't that be a bitch to get your hands on? Hold it, amigo. I thought Warren hired you to hire Christina to translate the scroll. If he already knows where the treasure is, what's with Christina? Plots within plots. Make the world go round. Confirmation, I guess. A double blind set up to make sure the translation is correct. Plus, he wants her for the model in the painting. Duh. A lot of biblical scholars have screwed up on the scroll, but Christina has her own connection to the mystery. Her interest is in the truth. Like that ever filled a belly or snagged a coin. Corner turned left on Broadway, shooting through a tunnel across the blocks of Pacific Heights to Fillmore. Moore caught a glimpse of the dance hall where he and Rox had gone during a break from his painting, meeting Jerry Garcia backstage. The night was a flash of memory. 20,000 bands ago, he turned on the Mark IV's radio. I'm just a boy whose intentions are good, crooned a disembodied voice. Oh, Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood. You don't seem edgy, remarked Corner. The action, I guess, means more than longevity. I'm feeling past my petty bullshit. Meeting Christina brought me out of hibernation, put a charge in my blood. I can see you have a definite glow. Hot pink neon light flashed over Corner's face as they hit Market Street. Moore felt the roller coaster of the hills, bottom out in the flat stretch, heading again down to the Embarcadero. Do we just cruise all night? Moore asked as he pushed radio buttons. Like the old days in Chicago. There's a city a man can wrap around him, North Side Industry, Gold Coast, and the South Side Blues. Hoods where no white boy ventures alone. I miss real weather, the melting summers, and snowdrifts past your head in the winter. Streets aren't broken with hills, fog, raggedy hippies on Social Security, and those fucking gingerbread Victorians. I get it. San Francisco blows. What next? We take it as it comes. Whatever that turns out to be, you know me. I'm for grabbing the gold, shooting bad guys that try to stop us, Corner acted with a wink. I gave the disc to Cassandra. Aye! She has a deal with McCracken. We need to get it back before she gives it to him. Corner replied, casting his head down with a scrunched eye. He popped in a CD of West Texas blues, a hard-driving version of Going Down. Boom through the speakers of music took Moore back to another night. Cruising Chicago's north side, they had hustled tickets to the Jazz and Blues Festival in Ann Arbor, Michigan, featuring Freddie, Miles, and Muddy. They drove all night, Moore sleeping with Corner at the wheel. He woke to find Corner drifting off with the car heading for oncoming traffic at 75 mph. He had grabbed the wheel in that split second before they crashed. Corner owed him. He wondered if his account was still in the black or if he even remembered Moore saving his bacon. Got my big feet in the window, Moore growled, and my head on the ground. Going down, going down, 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 going down. We're all going down, Corner echoed with a raspy voice. Whoopee! We all gonna die.